EMF. EMF stands for electromagnetic, I believe, electromagnetic frequencies, right?
Yes. Yes.
Yeah. And who knew that that could generate in us, holding our cell phones, could generate free radicals? You know, we think of it electromechanical, dealing with an electrical brain, but it's actually causing, it's generating a certain type of free radical. Tell us about that, Kristin.
Absolutely. So the molecule we're going to discuss is nitric, N-I-T-R-I-C, nitric oxide. It was the molecule of the year in 1992. And in the body, it helps regulate blood vessel tone, it helps with infection control, and it helps with new blood vessel growth. So it's a good molecule to speak of, as long as it stays under control. A lot of things in the body are good for us, but if they got out of control, if they exceed a threshold, they become a problem. And so in 1998, nitric oxide won the Nobel Prize because they discovered all the great things it could do when it existed in the body in a perfect concentration. Nitric oxide, as it floats through your bloodstream, binds itself to glutathione, it binds itself to heme, and it binds itself to other proteins so that it can act appropriately the way it's supposed to. But this is where EMF is the major concern. I had mentioned a little bit earlier a little hole in the cell called a voltage-gated calcium ion channel. And as I had said, calcium in the right concentration is good for us. When too much goes inside of the cell, it becomes a free radical. When the voltage-gated calcium ion channel gets flipped open uncontrollably, now we've got a real problem. Situations where that calcium ion channel flips open and gets out of control is if you get punched in the head, if you play football and get a concussion, now your voltage-gated calcium ion channels are flipped open, you're getting free radical damage. But the other critical factor is cellular radiation. It flips open the voltage-gated calcium ion channel, so cellular radiation, Wi-Fi, and EMF. And the scary thing is, it's not just humans that this affects. Plants have voltage-gated calcium ion channels. So my kids did this as a science experiment. I challenge everybody listening right now to try to grow a plant from a seed within 12 feet of their Wi-Fi routers in their homes. My kids haven't been able to do it. We do this every year since my oldest, who's now a 7th grader, was a 1st grader. You cannot get them to grow. But what happens is when the calcium rushes into the cells, now nitric oxide can make its way in as well. We don't ever want nitric oxide inside the cell. It does its job outside of the cell. So when nitric oxide gets into the cell, it combines with an enzyme called superoxide dismutase. Science geeks will abbreviate that SOD. And when nitric oxide combines with superoxide dismutase, it forms the single most egregious free radical that we know of to date. It's called peroxynitrite. It is a reactive nitrogen species. So to put this in perspective with the traditional free radicals that we think of, which are reactive oxygen species, a reactive nitrogen species can produce more free radicals called carbonyl free radicals. It lives 1 billion times longer than a reactive oxygen species. It can break DNA bonds, and because it lives 1 billion times longer, this terrible guy can travel between your cells. It can damage your DNA. This reactive nitrogen species is the scariest thing. And where is the nitric oxide normally found? It's found where it's supposed to be, floating along in your blood, bound to glutathione. So when I say to you that everybody needs to be on this, I'm not getting paid to be here to tell you this. Like, this is data. I am a science person. I am a research person. And I know that this delivery mechanism is like nothing we have ever seen in its capacity to reduce the risk of this peroxynitrite free radical. Steve, what
Now
do you got? I see.
that's something you mentioned. You said to me the other day that only glutathione can sequester this particular free radical. No other antioxidant can touch it.